Hello and welcome to Cold Outreach Success Stories, where we interview regular business people just like you who've had a lot of success with cold outreach on email and other channels. We go deep into their process with hot tips around targeting, messaging, and personalization so that you can take away some tips to implement in your cold outreach starting tomorrow. Thanks for hopping on.
That's okay.
Must be nice and early for you.
I'm actually in Australia at the moment, so it's 4:32 p.m.
It's late. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. So it's 4:30 in the afternoon, so it's not too bad. Just about to finish up my day.
Yeah. No worries. I thought you were in the UK for some reason.
Yeah. I have been based out of the UK. And then, but yeah, I am basically in Australia for a couple of weeks.
I see. Makes sense.
Then, yeah.
All right, Jack. So what I wanted to do on this call was just to sort of interview you in a little bit more detail to understand how you do lead generation. So what we're doing with this podcast series is that we're talking to our customers. And it's not really about SalesRobot, it's more about them, our customers, and how they're using different tools for lead generation, what else they're doing, are they getting clients from referrals? So the main goal with this podcast is to sort of highlight these case studies of small businesses and how they're approaching lead generation and what channels are driving success for them and what tactics are driving success for them, so that we can all come together and learn more from each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So I'm recording anyway, so we can get started. So Jack, how do you get leads? As simple as that.
Yeah, so my lead generation strategy, I guess, give you some context. I sell to fund managers and investment managers. So it is kind of super niched. And that's where sales robots really come in handy, because I use it along with a content strategy, kind of pulling data from Sales Navigator and from different groups that fund managers are in and investment managers are in. And then just kind of using SalesRobot to automate a lot of the sequences and the connection requests and messaging from groups. And then from there, I put them through another system to book calls. Once I've chatted to them on LinkedIn and stuff like that, then I have a call booking system, CRM, that I connect the leads to that system.
Makes sense. And are you doing just LinkedIn as a channel, or have you tried other channels as well?
Yeah, so for this business that I've been using for sales robots, it's kind of LinkedIn, and I do a bit of Facebook ads. So it's but basically for the fund managers, LinkedIn's easy, and there's more than enough fund managers on there for my business model and how it works. So it's really just been LinkedIn, SalesRobot, and that's about it.
Makes sense. Okay, and what kind of conversion rates do you see? Like, of course it will vary by group, vary by country that you're targeting and all of that. But what is your typical funnel look like?
Yeah, so I've sent about 5,000 group messages, and then I've had about, I don't know the open rates, but I've had about 100 meetings. So I'd say it's probably a 1 in 10 of someone that opens it. Some people are generally there's not a good fit. Some people not the right time. Obviously, that's sales. And then so I've had about 100. I had about 100 meetings in 3 months. Converted about 7 clients from that, so it's 7%. But the way that my offer is kind of laid out, it is like $20,000 minimum. So it does weed a few people out, and there was a few calls, out of that 100 that I probably shouldn't have gotten on. They were brokers and they weren't really my target market, but I was just kind of doing it and I was testing and just wanting to get the reps in. So that is kind of 5,000 messages to 100 meetings to 7 sales.
Makes sense. My next question would be, what are some of the things that you've learned about messaging that make a LinkedIn campaign successful?
I think that 99% of messages I get in my inbox are terrible. So it's not hard to stand out. I guess once you've done LinkedIn automation, you can see it. Whereas, say 2 years ago, when I hadn't really touched it, I'd be like, oh, this is wow, I've done this big message. But once you know how it works, and if you're a user of SalesRobot, you know the power of the automation. People, I guess they have verbal diarrhea and just kind of they don't even like, because I'm not a marketing agency, but because, and that's the telltale sign of someone that's just used an automation tool and just pulled me in. They're like, oh, we can get you more clients for your marketing agency. But because I work with hedge fund managers and provide a kind of, again, it's listed as marketing agency, but it's more of a consulting role. I know instantly when they've done just kind of a bulk messaging, and there's no problem with that. So I think in terms of that, like what people fail to realize a lot of the time is, it's business to business or business to consumer, but like at the end of the day, it's two people communicating via email or via messenger. So, you wouldn't, there's probably 3 people in the entire world, my mum, my sister, my best friend, that I would drop a 5-paragraph message out of context to. Right. And I get probably 4 of those messages per day. So I think a lot of people, they purely go for spray and pray, which, they drop these, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraph messages and telling me how good they are and what they can do and how they can book me 37 calls in 14 seconds or I don't pay. That's all well and good, but like no one really establishes the problem. Whereas what I did on my LinkedIn messages, I was just saying, I did it very broad. I was like, hey, are you a fund manager? And if yes, could you handle new investors? And that was it. So like, it wasn't really like a lot, but if they weren't a fund manager, they won't reply. If they didn't want new investors, then they'd tell me. So I think a lot of best practices, less is more, and you want to kind of have a bit of intrigue, and then they check out your profile. So that's where I kind of mentioned the content strategy of having an actual really good profile, and where you're doing what your target clients or customers or whatever, they can see your profile and they go, oh, hey, this guy's actually the real deal. So that would kind of be my best practices. Ask questions. Find out, and then from there, kind of get them into a sales situation. Not try to fire hose them on the first message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see your messaging is really crisp. Like I'm in your account right now. Like the first message is, hey, first name, always looking for more leaders in the investment industry to add to my network. Would love to connect, which is a simple, non-threatening message. And then the next one is, I hope you're doing well. Are you actively looking for new investment opportunities? If yes, any sectors or types in particular, which is great. It's all about them, right? It's not about pitching what you do or, how you're so great, which I'm sure you are, but, you're not pitching that.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, like, as you can see in my account, it's very much open. And, I have spent a disproportionate amount of time talking to people in the inbox of LinkedIn, but it's for most kind of businesses that they 3 to 5 good clients a month, at $3, $5, $10,000, whatever it is, that completely changes their life. But they act like they're Apple or Samsung or Google when they need thousands of customers a day. Which that's where you can get away with that generic messaging. And if you watch an ad on the TV or you watch an ad for a Super Bowl, the ads that do really well are the ones that call out a specific person and have a problem. Whereas a lot of people with automation tools, they kind of take away the responsibility of doing any work. They do it once, and if you send a message to 10 million people, 1 or 2 might buy, but it's the other 9 million that you should be worried about.
Yeah, and you're pissing them off essentially, and they're seeing you as a brand. Yeah, and they're seeing you as them.
Yeah, they're the unspoken kind of costs of being a pest. which a lot of people are.
Interesting. All right. So my final question: what are some of the mistakes that you made when you first started this kind of LinkedIn outreach?
Yeah, I think one of the big ones, and you can kind of see it in my account, was in the group messaging. I didn't realize you could pull, like if you structured the Sales Navigator, like if you structured the Sales Navigator right, you could use that as a link instead of just using the group ID. Because I started, you'll see like my campaigns went from, I think, 1,900 messages to 1,600 messages to 14 to 900. And then I was on to support, and I was like, oh shit, like what's going on? And then one of the support people said, oh, you can actually use Sales Navigator. Then I fired that back up, and I started getting back to the numbers that I needed. So that was one. I guess the second mistake was, I didn't optimize my profile or have good content on there. And that was one thing that I think goes so far. And then third, I do see the value in, networking with other people or your kind of your competitors and stuff like that, and just being a presence. Like if it is kind of like a kind of personal brand strategy or a brand where you're selling, I do think there's a lot of value in that, and something I don't do enough of, and a couple of mistakes. I just wasn't in the running. So yeah, that'd be my three.
Makes sense. Now that's very insightful. I think that's all, Jack. I learned a ton from this episode. I hope our listeners do as well. Thank you so much for hopping on, Jack. I think this was very insightful.
No problems at all. Thank you, and thanks for creating such a good tool.
All right, mate. Thank you so much.
No problems. You have a great day. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
So that's all the time we have, folks. I really enjoyed the episode. I hope you did too. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, whatever you can to spread the word out about cold outreach success stories so more people can enjoy and learn from the show. All right, that's all, folks. Bye-bye.